Thanks for joining me for another edition of Grew with Portia. I'm your host, Portia Booker, and yes, this is my real name. Grew with Portia targets those who are curious, eager, and hungry for new information that can aid in their personal and professional development. Malcolm X once said, "Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." Never stop learning. Be a sponge for the rest of your life. Before I jump into my topic for today, I want to start off with a little history lesson. Thanks for joining me in the studio today, Miss Sam Renegade from Renegade Soul 216.
Thank you. Such a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. So welcome in 2020.
Yes.
2020 has hit Earth.
A new decade.
Yes. And I can't believe my 10-year reunion is this year from high school.
Only 10, huh?
Yeah, I know. Let me ask you this, Sam. How old did you think I was before we actually?
I don't really know how old you were when I looked at you, but 10 years, I was like, oh, okay, all right. Now you make me feel old.
Yes, Sam. I am 28.
Wow.
Yes, and people tell me all the time, well, you have such a mature demeanor and you sound so much older. Well, I do have an old soul, and I'm not afraid to admit it.
Yeah.
I can't relate to the newer generation. Their conversation and their values and things are just way different.
I agree. And
to me, I'm just like, that don't make sense. That don't sound right to me. So, 2020's here. Have you started kind of like a vision board or your goal list?
So, yes, I have a lot of goals for the new decade, in fact, not just for 2020. I have a lot of goals. There are a lot of fitness goals, a lot of health goals, but a lot of business goals too, and family goals. So I have definitely began that journey already, yes.
See, me, I've made it a plan of mine every year on my birthday that I will start my New Year's resolution.
When is your birthday?
November the last, not the 31st, the 30th.
Okay.
Because people are like, oh, the 31st. November does not have 31 days. I don't know. People just don't pay attention. So, Sam, 2019, everybody's supposed to learn something from the previous year. Mm-hmm. What did 2019 teach you?
So 2019 was an amazing year for me. I hit all kind of physical goals. 2019 taught me that I could literally transform my body into anything that I wanted it to be. So 2019 was the first year that I entered my first competition, and I competed in the Lieberman show in the figure category. And I hired a coach. I already had a personal trainer myself. And I literally watched my body do things I had never seen it do before I got on that stage. And before 2019 ended, I did a second competition. So it was just, I went into this decade already having 2 competitions under my belt. It was the most amazing thing ever.
That is, you literally watched everything you worked hard for come into fruition.
Yes.
So, that's something amazing. And I think people need to be a little bit more patient.
Yes.
When you're working on a goal, it's not going to snap. It's going to happen tomorrow.
I feel like you've been reading my Facebook page, because I just said something like that on my Facebook page, that people like to talk about your overnight successism. Is that a word? Successism?
Hey, you could coin it.
It's a word today. But people like to talk about your overnight successism until you start to talk about all the things that you lost along the way and how many years it actually took you to get to that goal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Success takes time. It's not like you're standing in the McDonald's line, getting that McChicken, that McGriddle, whatever. Yeah, you're going to stand there for 10, 15 minutes, but success doesn't work that way.
No, not at all.
It takes blood, sweat, and tears.
And consistency.
Yes, and that's the thing that people don't realize is consistency does get you where it's tedious, it's boring.
And you got to be patient. And you have to be patient with yourself. because you will mess it up along the way.
Yeah, it's not going to be just a straight, train line to wherever.
And that's in anything, though, not just physical goals. That's in any
Everything.
Business goals that you have, any personal or relationship goals that you have. You really have to be consistent in everything that you're going to do. And you have to be patient because nothing happens overnight.
No.
Yeah.
The only thing that can happen overnight is the only thing that changes is your thoughts.
Yep. And even that takes some time sometimes. It does.
Right? You be really waddling over right, you go to bed and you remember everything that happened the next day, and then you carrying it over into the new day. And then it's bringing your spirits down, and whatever it is, whether it's a grumpy coworker, then messed up your Cheerios.
Yeah,
I don't know,
but even that grumpy coworker, like, that's an instant thing, right?
Yes.
But you still can train your brain to react differently, but you still have to train your brain to do that. You have to change your perspective. Nothing in this world will change until you change yourself.
Mm-hmm. Amen. I've heard that from many people. You can't change other people. Only you can change you.
That's right.
For me, 2019 was a year of growth. I will say for me, I had to make a lot of sacrifices and really change my perspective on things. Like, I started 2019 with a promotion, with a brand new position. I felt like, oh my God, somebody has recognized the talent and the skills that I had. But when I looked at the bigger picture, it was sabotage. At the very beginning. And I knew it. But I said, I'm going to give it a try. I'm a firm believer in you don't actually figure out or do something until you try it. And I gave it a try. I rode the waves until I couldn't anymore. And, I took that loss. I took a $20,000 pay cut. Fine. I'm not ashamed to admit it. But would you rather be making $100,000 a year, but every time you take off, you sleep? Or would you rather take that $20,000 pay cut and still live life abundantly?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask that question because I totally walked away from a job just so I could be a full-time entrepreneur. And that in itself is a very scary thing because you give up all your income and all of your insurances and everything. The direct deposit is a very... it's a safety net, basically. It'll keep you in a miserable position because you know that direct deposit's going to hit every other week and you need that to pay the bills. And, you really have to have some serious faith.
Yes, you do.
Before you will walk away from that security blanket, understanding that, you know what? I don't even need the security blanket. I have someone who's going to take better care of me than any direct deposit. Right? So I'm the wrong one to ask that because I would have walked away too. I
walked away.
Yeah.
And I was so much happier.
Yes.
I felt it. And Sam, this is a sad story that I'm going to say, but the day that I knew I had enough, I was at a funeral for a coworker had lost a loved one. So I went to the funeral. And while I sat in the church, I couldn't pay attention to the actual service itself because my mind was somewhere else, because I was upset at all the events that had took place that week. And so while I'm sitting there, I heard a voice say, "Portia, you're done." I'm looking around like, wait a minute. It's only one person sitting next to me. Then I heard it again. "Portia, you're done." I'm like, okay, so it is real. Something is telling me something. "Portia, you're done. You've done everything you can. You will walk away from this job." Sam, when I walked out of that church, I felt like I died and came back.
Yep.
Because literally the thought, every negative thought and anger that I had just went away.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. I haven't felt that free. Mm-hmm. And when you feel that freedom come into your lungs, you breathe a different type of air.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people are a prisoner of their job.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because they're afraid. They're used to that direct deposit.
It's a safety net.
And you have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. In order to really live your life abundantly. So for 2020, go for it, y'all.
We talk about this all the time, me and my business buddies. We actually, we talk about the movie The Matrix.
That's my favorite series.
Honey, but have you ever looked at the movie with Neo as yourself?
I have not.
Okay, so next time you watch it as Neo being you in a work position and being connected into this matrix, this world that's designed to keep you a certain way. The educational system that's designed to keep you in the education system, into the next education system, and then into this job for 30 years and then retire with, this pension or whatever. That this is the design. And those of us that veer off, all of the different challenges that we face fighting against the agents. The agents are trying to pull us back. You know what I mean? The agents are, making sure that the one doesn't unplug everybody,
Right. That's
we talk about this all the time, and we call it our squad. My squad, we use that language when one of us is veering off. Like one of us is saying, girl, I don't know.
I turn it into the agent there.
I might need to go back to work. I don't know if I could do this anymore. And we'll be like, no, wait. What agent has gotten to you? You can't plug back up. You've been unplugged. You can't plug back up. So yeah, I challenge you to go and watch The Matrix tonight with yourself as Neo. See what you come up with. Girl, just text me, girl. Just let me know.
Man, that is like the best analogy that I've heard about my favorite movie series. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've watched The Matrix many times.
Yep.
The first time I watched it, I was fascinated.
Yeah.
By the dimension that they had set up. But it's
very entertaining.
Yeah. To actually apply it to your real life, it fits.
Yeah.
It fits for our society.
And that's why we use it. Yep. We use it. My business buddies and I, the squad. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sam.
We didn't even come here to talk about that, but
hey, I'm excited, y'all. For 2020, rewatch The Matrix. Put yourself in Neo's shoes.
Yes.
And change your perspective.
That's right.
On life.
That's right.
So I'm going to give a little background on Miss Sam. She is a Cleveland native. Yay.
Yes.
She's also a graduate from Cleveland State University, the College of Urban Affairs, and also Case Western Reserve University, the Mandel School of Applied Social Sciences. She is a personal trainer. And an interesting fact about Miss Sam, she's never been to Cedar Point. But I don't blame you. You're not missing nothing.
And I really grew up in Cleveland. It's just that my dad lived in Florida. And so as soon as school let out, my mom put me on a plane to Florida. And I spent my summers in Florida. So every time I came back, it was time to go back to school. I just never had the opportunity to go to Cedar Point. And to this day, I'm now 43 years old. I have never been to Cedar Point.
I mean, do you really have the desire to go?
Not really. My husband talks about me all the time, but I really don't have the desire because I don't like roller coasters. But the kids have been, so they good.
Right. Somebody likes it. I just personally think it's a waste of money. I mean, you spend $50, $60 for a ticket. Mm-hmm. Then you get into the parking lot. That's $20. Mm-hmm. So you pretty much done almost spent $100 and even buy no food. You haven't even gotten on a single ride yet.
Oh, goodness. It's not included with the ticket? No? Okay. All right. What do I know?
Then you get to the park. You stand in line for 2 to 3 hours minimum to get on a ride that's 5 seconds.
Oh, no. I'm not going to do that. I wish y'all could have seen how she looked at me though when I said it's included with the ticket.
Included? That'd be too much like right.
Oh goodness.
So, Sam, just a basic question. What, how did you start on the fitness path?
That's a loaded question. How long we got for this?
Hey, just go ahead.
All right. Well, let me run it down for you. I got married in 2008 and we got pregnant right away. In fact, we planned it. So we knew that we were going to get pregnant right away. I started taking prenatal vitamins like back in 2007, right? That this was the man of my dreams. I was going to marry him. We were going to have some kids and move forward. We were going to live happily ever after. Got married, got pregnant right away, and got pregnant with twins, as a matter of fact.
Wow. Yeah,
2 boys we were pregnant with. We were so excited. We was like, boom, we ain't got to do it again,
2 for the price of 1.
We got 2 babies. We don't never have to do this again. And plus, I already had a son from a previous marriage. And he was 8 at the time. But we delivered those babies early. Those babies were born at 21.6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Their lungs were not developed. They could not live. And so they passed within minutes of being born. And so I say all of that to say, and I'm going to keep my composure. I talk about this all the time. I say all of that to say that when my body got back to itself, right? It took a while because we got pregnant again, had a miscarriage, got pregnant again, had another set of twins. So in 2010, I gave birth to healthy babies, Cameron and Caden. They are now 9 years old. So by the time I got my body back, it was a mess.
I mean, it took a couple years.
It was a little while, but in dealing with grief, I looked at myself and I saw this pudgy stomach, and it reminded me of the loss. It reminded me that my body had failed and could not. Now, first of all, don't look at me like that, because there is no logic involved in grief, right?
Oh, no.
Okay. So, and just so that your audience knows that, when you're dealing with grief, a lot of logical sense is not fitting. So when I say that, I'm looking at my stomach and I see a walking tomb. People don't understand that, but that's because they're inserting logic, and there's no logic involved in grief. And so when I looked at that and saw this walking tomb, it wasn't like totally out of whack. I was never no huge chick or anything like that, but it just reminded me so badly of a time that I couldn't carry babies. And so I wanted to do something about it. And so my girlfriend called me and she was like, girl, you want to go to this class with me? It's at Naturally Gifted Fitness Center. And I was like, yeah, I'll try it. I was doing my Zumba. I thought I could hang, I was over at the Y. We was doing Zumba like all the time, So I went to this class with her, and I don't remember I think it was a burn class. And when I tell you that class took the wind out of me, I didn't speak to her for 3 months. I would get her on the phone and she will tell you the exact same thing. I didn't speak to her again for 3 months. I was that mad at her because I thought she tried to kill me that day.
The class overworked you.
The class itself was just so high energy that you couldn't even take a break to get some water. That's the kind of class that it was. But literally about a month later, I thought to myself, maybe that's where I need to be to get my body together. And so I called up that guy who was leading the class and asked him about his personal training rates. And he asked me what my goal was. And the only thing I could say to him was, I had to get rid of this stomach. I didn't care about nothing else. I don't care about the Angela Bassett arms, what these thick legs might look like or nothing like that. I just needed to get rid of this stomach. It was evidence. And that's how I started on my fitness journey. I started training with Phil like a month later.
I hear that. I actually did a series on grief. My first 2 shows were on grief. The 2 people I had, both of them took a experience in life and turned it into something positive.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to do. We all go through some form of grief. Grief doesn't just stem from a person losing a person. It can stem from a job loss. You know, you didn't get into the school you wanted to. The loss of a pet. So as far as you saying that people are trying to approach it logically, we all go through some form of grief. But we all handle it differently. Because not all of us go through every single stage from the beginning.
Sometimes we try to skip. And I won't say that I haven't tried to skip steps. I've definitely tried. But it doesn't work. And thankfully, my steps are ordered. And God can knock me right back to where I needed to be. It hurt. But he did knock me back to where I needed to be. So, yeah.
It's possible. And you have to pull yourself out of it. Nobody can sit up here and say, hey... Come on.
Right.
I see you're not performing good. Come on. You got to keep, you have to want it too.
Yeah.
You know, I have somebody in my family is still grieving the loss of somebody. You know, the person's been gone for about 7 years now. And, you know, we've tried different things. You know, we tried to include her, you know, get her out, come on over. But when you go to visit, her conversation's negative. Nothing's positive. Her famous or favorite quote to say is, "My life is over with." It don't have to be. You still here for a reason.
Yes, but you're still inserting logic and to her grief. And that's where we tend to get messed up. So God uses all of us for different purposes, and even in long stretches, the gift of, oh, I hate this. Listen, the gift of long suffering is a real, real gift.
The gift of long suffering. I have never heard that before.
Listen, God gave me the gift of long suffering because my children passed away 10 years ago, and there's nobody on the planet who can walk through my door and tell me how I'm supposed to react, how I'm supposed to feel. None of that. Because the loss, whatever the loss is, whoever the loss is not based on what you think it is. It is based on that relationship that person had with whatever that object is that was lost. Right? So if you lost your home, other people will say to you, people lose homes every day.
Right.
What are you talking about? But if it's not, my relationship with this home might be different than what you're thinking. This could be the home that my great grandmother built, but you don't know that, right? So that's my relationship with this object that's been lost. And that's why I say sometimes we try to insert our own logic into somebody else's grief. I hope you're learning from this, because sometimes it's really not about, what we feel or what we think. It could be an insertion of God giving you this gift of long suffering so that one day he'll be able to use you. But it might not be for another 10 years, right? But people are watching you through this long journey and they like, oh, what a lost cause that is. Baby, I don't know what's going to happen to her, you know. But God's using that person, so you stay out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand. I mean, it's just...
But I'm also speaking to you from a place of being given that gift of long suffering and deep-rooted grief. Because I don't know that maybe my friends or family thought that I would come out of it. Right? So maybe they may have been looking at me the same way that you're looking at your family member. Because it did take me a long time before I would even engage. I wouldn't even pray. Thankfully, I had people to pray for me and pray over me. But, you know, even in saying, God, I'm so mad at you, not even realizing that that's a form of a prayer. You know what I mean? Like, you know, even my husband said, you know what, you can go on and have that temper tantrum. God can take it. It's nothing but a temper tantrum that you having against your father. And what do we do as parents? We look at the kids on the floor having that temper tantrum. Like, look at this fool. This fool on the floor. I'm going to have to whoop him, you know. But as parents, we know what's best. And so we let that temper tantrum be what it needs to be. Go on, grab that kid, take them all home, and do what you need to do. And they grow up to be fine. You just got to give it time. It's this gift of long suffering sometimes that God uses. And I know that he used it in me, because the woman that you see before you right in this moment is a direct result of that gift of long suffering. But it took me a long time to come out of it before I could even engage. Yeah, seriously.
But you did.
But I did. But in God's time and not at anybody else's time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep, and God's time is on his own, not when you want it.
Because I never would have asked for that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't.
Yeah.
That should not happen to anybody.
Yeah.
But I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does.
And people get upset with me when I tell them, I'm like, you have no control over some of the things that happens to you.
That's right.
It's supposed to happen for a reason. It's supposed to teach you something.
But when you get to the opportunity to change your perspective, hopefully that happens sooner than later. It doesn't always. But
Right.
people will say, life has happened to me. And after a while, you'll start to learn, actually, life happened for me. Right? This happened. So my children passed away. I could easily be saying to you that God did this to me. Right? That life served me just sour apples. Like, this is some bull. I don't like this. This is what happened to me. But really, as I'm standing here in front of you today, I can actually say life happened for me. I learned so much through the process. And would I prefer to have Christian and Jaden here with me today? I would. But if Christian and Jaden were here with me today, there would be no Cameron or Caden. You get where I'm going? So it's not that, I choose one or the other. It's just every single experience is very fitting for who I am today.
That's
really
good that you look at it
me.
like
Yeah,
that.
but it took me a long time now.
Yeah.
It took me a long time.
Right. And goes back to our very beginning conversation.
Yes.
Success doesn't happen overnight. Just like coming out of grief doesn't happen overnight.
No, and you have no idea what I've lost
along
the way.
Yes. I can only imagine, Sam.
Yeah.
So, let's jump right into this fitness. A lot of people put that on their New Year's resolutions. And probably there's a couple people who are listening that may be behind on the ball. Why do so many people, when they start on their fitness journey, whether it's just a tone up, maybe shed a couple pounds because they're getting married, why do so many people kind of like fall off the bandwagon after a certain period of time?
Well, honestly, I think a lot of people have an unrealistic goal to begin with. For example, I know I did. All I wanted in this world was to get rid of my stomach. And I wanted to do it before I graduated from grad school, which would have given me about 6 months. And that's all I wanted. And so if I was a different kind of person, in the end of that 6 months, I would have given up. Right, because my stomach was still there, even though my body was changing. But that stomach is like the absolute last thing to go.
That's what most people want to get rid of.
That's what most people want to get rid of. But most people think that they can go to the gym for 6 months and get rid of a stomach that it took them 30 years to build, and not change anything else, not change any of their eating habits, not give up them drinks. I was in my mid-30s when I started, so, I was heavy in my wine. Plus, I was in, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Plus I was in a grief journey as well, so I was double heavy in my wine.
Yeah.
And other drinks and other bad habits. And so you can't think, even for 2 seconds, that you're going to go into this fitness journey and it's going to be the only thing that change what you look like. You got to make a lot of other sacrifices in order to change what you're going to look like if you want to do it in a short amount of time. But even then, you still have to be patient, because it took you 30 years, depending on what your age is, of course. It took you 30 years to develop this body into this bad habit type of body. So you can't reverse that in 6 months. You can't reverse that in even a year. It's going to take you a little bit of time before your body makes substantial changes. And by the way, there's this other thing that we have to battle called muscle memory and body memory. So as soon as you stop, your body is going to say, oh, thank God. Whew, I knew she was just tripping. So we could go back to what we were doing because that's where we were for 30 years. Whereas you have to train your body constantly before it'll say, oh, this is what we're supposed to look like now. And that takes years before muscle memory changes. So all kind of things that we have to take into account when we're doing like this New Year's resolution type thing before we can be really successful in it.
Well, and then you have to remember too, consistency. And you can't just change one thing
Right.
and then expect 7 other things to change.
That's right.
You have to change those 7 other things, like you said, with the bad drinking habits, the bad eating.
And that's not to say that you go to the gym and your body won't change, especially if you're consistent with just that one thing. Like, that was all I did for the first year. I'll never forget. My body changed quite a bit, but at one point, I remember saying to Phil, like, I don't see no other changes happening. You know, what's happening? And that was like a year into personal training, and he looked me right in my face and said, well, what are you eating? Don't talk to me like that. Don't you? Don't talk to me about my food. Yeah, I'm supposed to be out here. We supposed to be doing these heavy lifting of the weights and stuff, and that's supposed to change everything. No, boo. No. You got to make some other changes.
Right, you can't always go to McDonald's before your workout or after.
You cannot out-train a bad diet, no matter what.
I hear that. I think that's the realest thing I've heard as far as tips for weight loss.
Yeah. So when you make a New Year's resolution, a lot of times that's coming from a space of forced goal setting because it's New Year's. This is what we're supposed to do, right? We right back in the Matrix. We're supposed to set a goal for this year rather than, you know what, it's the middle of April. I realize that I'm unhealthy. My blood pressure is high and I got to make some changes. And my doctor has actually told me, this is a true story, by the way. My doctor has actually told me that if I don't do something about my blood pressure, I could die and not watch my kids grow up. That was one of the conversations I had with my doctor right before I said, okay, I'm going to get rid of the stomach. So those types of things, there's a difference in what your goal is and what your end game is and how you're going to execute that. So if your health is involved, then you're going to do it no matter what.
You should.
Yeah. If the doctor says to you, look you in your face and say, you're going to die if you don't do something about this, you're going to do what needs to be done if you want to live.
Yeah.
If you want to see your kids grow up. Because when he said that to me, I was like, you mean like die? Wait,
not like die?
Die? Like, is he talking to me? Because I'm so young, you know?
He's like, that's it.
Die. That's different, you know? So, yes, in the end of that 6 months and my stomach wasn't gone, there was this other thing in the background saying, hey, your blood pressure is sky high. And one thing I didn't mention is that within that year, even though I wasn't happy with my stomach, my body had started changing. But within that year, I was off my blood pressure medicine. So a lot had changed. And that told me I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm off these blood pressure medicines that I didn't want any parts of to begin with because, you know, we think my dad got high blood pressure. His dad had high blood pressure. It's just a fact of my life. It don't have to be. It doesn't have to be. So now, as soon as you start to see those kind of changes, you'll keep going.
I hear that. We have to change that mentality too, that just because they had it, he had it, I'm destined to get it.
Yep.
It don't have to be your destiny.
We accept that as a way of life, and it doesn't have to be. We could break all those curses.
They accept it as the end all be all.
Yep.
And we have to, once again, change our perspective. You have to look at the big picture.
But you got to train your brain. Yeah.
And you have to be around people who are positive. Not people who are like, well, why you want to do that?
It makes a whole world of difference because those agents are going to be there.
No,
They are going to be there. And they will come out of the woodwork. Why do you want to do that? I've had many of people say to me because, again, I was never a big chick. Never. I was way fluffier. In fact, I then called all my friends, cussed them all out, and told them, they didn't have the right to not tell me how fluffy I was. I was mad. I was mad. Y'all couldn't tell me how fluffy I was. Y'all wasn't gonna say nothing. But given that I was never a big chick, I used to hear all kind of things like, if you lose any more weight, girl, you're gonna disappear. Disappear? I'm probably not gonna disappear, but
right. You hide behind a tree for real.
But our culture.
Yes.
Our men like a little something to hold on to, all that stuff. It's like, that's so nice, but really it's about me and what I want, my health,
your happiness.
What I want to look like, how I want to see myself in the mirror, what I want to look like absolutely naked, all of that. It's about me. It's not about somebody else. It's about me.
I hear that. Yeah. We need to start putting our self-investment.
Yep. And yourself is the best investment that you'll ever have.
Yeah. It's a lifelong thing, though.
Yep.
It's not just something you do for the new year.
That's right. And that's the difference.
It's a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Kind of on the topic of lifestyles, Sam, you've done it. We can see the results here since I'm sitting here with you. What is the key to really living a healthier lifestyle? I don't want to say diet because I don't believe in that.
So I have a meal plan. I do. I don't call it a diet. It's a meal plan. It is designed for me to achieve a certain goal. We count my macros, which is fats, carbs, and proteins. It's all very important. But as far as a lifestyle, you just have to just hunker down and clear out your cupboards. I hate to say it, but you have to make all of the necessary changes for every single goal that you want in your life. For example, you decided you wanted to go to school. So you went to undergraduate school, and every single time you had a test, what did you do?
You studied.
They was having a party over at such and such house. Maybe y'all was going to the Kappa house, and it's time to go. Let's go. But you had a test the next day. You probably did not go to that party until you finished that test, right? You probably took the time to say, I can't do that today. It's going to be another party next week. They party over there every single weekend. I'm going to sit this one out and go next week after my test is done. You have to make certain choices, and every single choice that you make, it should lead to you, right?
Right.
So if your goal is this lifestyle change, then you start to make choice after choice that's going to get you to that goal, right? So every single choice, and we're faced with choices all day long.
Mm-hmm.
All day long, we're faced with choices. You and I have been talking for a few weeks, and there were a couple times I was already supposed to have been here. Right? I was supposed to have been here, but I had to make a choice, right? I actually said to you, oh, Coach got leg day on that day. I can't come. Because in the end of the day, I knew that I'm working toward this goal. I want these thighs to look a certain kind of way the next time I hit the stage. And Coach said, we're going to work on those on this day. It happened to coincide with the day that you wanted to see me. And I had to make a choice. Every single time you make that choice, it is leading to the goal. Right?
Right.
So that's what the lifestyle is all about. It's all about choices. It's all about making the choice that you need to make and standing with it. And then the more people that know what your goal is, the easier it is to make that choice. They make it easy for you because sometimes they're sarcastic with it. But, well, we better put these cookies up because we know Sam can't have that. You know what? Y'all can be sarcastic all y'all want, but yeah, y'all put them cookies up. Thank you.
Right. Thank you for considering my lifestyle.
But the more people that know what your goals are, that's why you can't always be quiet about your goals, especially if they're fitness, because sometimes you need people around you to say, here she come. We got to put this wine up. Oh, God, here she come. She ain't going to want to have no drinks. You know how often I get that? Like, I skip so many parties. I'm not a party goer anyway, but people already know that when I'm in prep mode for competition, I'm not going anywhere. My squad be mad.
I'm going to the gym.
Yeah, my squad be mad because they're throwing, especially over this last summer when we were having parties and stuff. We were talking about this in the hair salon the other day. I missed everything and they were mad at me, but they understood because they knew I'm walking around with this big bag of food. I can't eat any of the other stuff. I can't be around the drinks because I'm going to want to drink. I can't be around the brownies. I'm gonna want those. I gotta sit this out until I reach this goal. And when I hit that stage, they could see. They was like, oh, that's different. She didn't look like that even last week.
Right.
You have to make choice after choice after choice to get to the goal that you're trying to get to. And that's all I'm saying. It's all about choices. Consistent choices.
Yes. Choices are everywhere.
Yeah.
And you got to choose wisely.
You got to choose yourself.
Choose
yourself. Yeah.
Choose wisely. Invest in yourself. Sam, thank you so much for coming on.
Anytime.
I know that it's been a couple weeks that me and you have been corresponding, but I was so happy when you're like, oh, I can come this day. I'm like, yay, I will make time for that. So we're just talking about options and choices. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, they become kind of overwhelmed, because of all the choices that are available, especially when it comes to weight loss. You see commercials on Facebook, this pill will help you lose weight in 10 days, or drink this shake, or, eat this supplement nutrition bar for lunch, dinner, whatever. How did you choose to go with the meal prepping over all these different options?
Well, I have a natural body. That's number one. So it's easy to make that choice when you don't want to take all of those shots and things like that to alter your body. I never wanted any surgeries. There is one I was thinking about, maybe buying some boobs one day, but because they're the first to go in fitness.
Well, yeah,
I might have to buy some of those later, much later. But the thing that I know for certain, and if I didn't know it before competition, I absolutely know now, is that nutrition, if you did your nutrition correctly, will get you to where you want to go. And so when I got with my coach and he started, sending me meal plans and things like that, I didn't quite understand it. Like, why does he want me to eat these 5 meals? That's a lot of food.
Right.
And they were 5 full meals. You hear me? Like, 4 ounces of chicken, 3 ounces of sweet potato, and 2 cups of vegetables, that type of stuff. And you're like, wait, how am I going to pull this off, But then as you start to do it, you realize I gave my body just what it needed because I'm hungry again. So your body uses the nutrition and it goes exactly where it's supposed to go. And it's timed, right? So it's like you eat every 2.5 to 3 hours. You boost your metabolism that way because now you're feeding your body the way that it's needing to be fed. Mm-hmm. And it's starting to work. And it's like, oh, cool. She just gave me something else. Good. Let me work that off. And in the end of that 2.5 hours, you find yourself hungry. And you're like, I don't even know how that happened. I just ate all that food. Right. But what do we do on a regular basis? We will eat. Some of us won't even eat breakfast. But we'll go, 7 or 8 hours without eating anything. We'll have coffee. And then at around lunchtime, when the job says that we can have lunch, then we'll go and we'll get some, a chicken sandwich from Popeyes and, some.
Something that ain't healthy.
Sorry, was that being petty? But I'm just saying that, we'll go and get the most unhealthy thing and then sit back at our desk for convenience. And we'll sit back at our desk and think that our body is going to boost its metabolism with that. And it's not. It can't. Because that's just going to sit on us. And we didn't even give it the vegetables that we needed. Right? So all we did was carb up and eat some potatoes and eat this fried chicken and all this bread. And we think that our body is going to use that in a healthy way. It's not. And then we're not going to eat again until we might snack. We'll have some Snicker bars and stuff like that.
Some Pepsi.
Some Pepsi. We're not drinking our water, right? And then we'll eat again at about 6 or 7. And what is it? It's fried pork chops and some macaroni and cheese. We rarely get our vegetables in. We're drinking all the wrong stuff. We're not getting our water in. And we wonder why we don't feel good, why we feel tired all the time. And when he put me on that meal plan, it had 5 meals. None of it was fried food. I did miss the, fried fish when he said white fish. And I was like, what am I supposed to do with this fish? I don't know how to eat whiting. I don't want this orange roughy, it's not fried, you got to make some real changes here.
Right.
But as soon as I started on the 5 meals, I noticed an immediate change in my body. And in fact, my weight dropped almost immediately because now my metabolism is boosted and I'm getting all of the nutrition that I'm supposed to have throughout my day. My macros are met. All of the protein I'm supposed to get, all of the carbs I'm supposed to get, and all of the fats that I'm supposed to get throughout the day are covered. And boom, my body changed.
It's right there.
Yeah, and he changed the diet for different reasons as we got closer and closer to the show. Like, for competition, you do weird things just to get your body to conform. Mm-hmm. But on a regular basis, that 5 meals, now I'm on 6 meals, right? But I work out all the time, though.
Well, yeah.
Right? So that's different. I do a lot of cardio. I do a lot of heavy lifting. And so my body uses that, and I'm starving by the time I get to that next meal. In fact, I'm looking at the clock right now because I ate when I came in here. But now I'm looking at the clock like, dang, I think it's time to eat again. And I got all my meals with me. So that's when you've made a lifestyle change. Because I don't know if you saw my bag, but I got this huge bag with all 6 of my meals in it. Because you never know where you're going to find yourself. When somebody's going to call you to come on their radio station, you hope that they got a microwave in that building somewhere.
Or find a way.
Or we'll find a way. But, I have a food warmer in my car because I was sick of eating cold food prep, and my kids are cheerleaders and things like that, so we be on the road all the time. So I'm always prepared for that next meal because it's timed. 1, it's timed, right. But 2, it's all of the nutrition that I'm supposed to have throughout the day, and 3, it is my lifestyle. So yes. When you see me, that I'm someone who works out. You can tell by how even my arms are all covered up. You can't even see them, but you can still see that, I'm living this lifestyle.
That's
the goal. Yeah, that's the goal.
I hear that. Well, Sam, we're about to wrap up here, mm-hmm. but, just a quick question for our listeners. What advice can you offer them? Maybe there's somebody out there who wants to start living a more healthy lifestyle and incorporating, going to the gym regularly.
Mm-hmm. My best advice, most people don't like to hear this, but my best advice is to hire a trainer, because a trainer is an accountability partner, somebody who's going to make you do the work. So I think that when we do the New Year's resolution and we sign up for, the $9.95 gyms and we start to go, and we may even grab a friend, and that friend will go to the gym with us for a little while, but you need somebody who is in that lifestyle to teach you that lifestyle, to hold you accountable, to count your reps with you and be like, don't cheat yourself. We said 15. That was only 12 now. And my clients swear. They swear I don't know how to count,
All right. You ain't see that?
Sam, I promise you that was 15. That wasn't 15. That was 12. You can't count, Sam. Okay. Well, you're going to do 3 more. Just in case.
That extra.
3 more ain't going to hurt you, But that's my best advice, because then you can learn this lifestyle. And you can learn from somebody who's living in that lifestyle. And I tell my clients all the time, because they say, well, what should I do when I'm away from you? And I'm like, go do some cardio. But I want to go and lift some weights. Well, go and repeat what we did. Because the goal is that you should be able to walk, as women especially, we should be able to walk into the gym and feel comfortable about going to that weight rack, about going to that Smith machine and doing some squats. The Smith machine is a squat rack. You should feel comfortable approaching that piece of equipment. And so many of us are not comfortable in that space. We don't feel like we know what to do. And I show them how to adjust the weights on some of the machines. It's like, this is how you use this machine, so that when you are away from me and you go to Lifetime or you go to whatever gym that you're a part of, you know exactly how to approach that machine and get your workout in when you're not with me. And you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to go work chest today. I won't see Sam until next week. I'm going to go work chest today. And you'll be able to go into that gym and work chest. That is my best advice, because then you learn the lifestyle and you can carry it out even when your friend has decided that ain't for me. And that was your accountability partner, in the beginning of the year. And 3 months in, they like, girl, my job is tripping. I got to put in these hours at work. But you still in it. Now you have a trainer that's in it with you.
It's all about association.
It really is.
You won't learn it unless you're around it.
Yep.
Kind of like when you're trying to learn another language.
Yep.
You're not going to learn it by just listening to random people talk on YouTube.
No, that's very true. And I'll tell you what, I think that the gym that I'm a part of is such a special place. Like, everybody around, like, we have 11 to 12 different personal trainers in that space.
Wow.
All of us with different brands. So Renegade Soul is just one brand in our gym. But we are all so very close-knit that no matter whose client it is, we are like encouraging them. They're doing lunges and they're, about to stop. And you're like, no, come on, let's finish this, And it doesn't matter if that's my client, Karma Wellness client. It does not matter. We're going to uplift that person, and even the clients interact with one another. So if you go to like my Instagram page, you'll see other clients saying, okay, I'm an unofficial renegade. They'll say, I'm an unofficial renegade, and I started my meal plan, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yes, because it doesn't matter if you're with me or not. You're still with me, because we're under the same roof. We got the same goals, and we're going to get this money.